The ML Sports Platter is back with you all over the major platforms. Download, subscribe, rate, and review as we are brought to you by Stanley Law Offices, Stumble and Monkey Brewing Company, Burn Dairy, and Batavia Downs Gaming. It is an absolute treat, a pleasure, and honor to bring in college basketball coaching great Phil Martelli. So many unbelievable years through the years, and it feels like right now I'm trapped in time, that I'm back at the Reilly Center as a student, and then somebody covering the game for WSBU radio when St. Joe's would come in. Those unbelievable atmospheres. It is Phil Martelli, 446 wins, four-time A-10 Coach of the Year, and a member of a great coaching fraternity, and, of course, somebody who made the NCAA tournament 7 times as well. Phil, thank you so much for a few minutes. How are you?
Mike, are you kidding me? This is a joy, joy, joy. And it's obvious that your enthusiasm and your emotion fed into all 6,000 people that were in the Reilly Center. I didn't always think it was 6,000.
Yeah.
But man, what I pay my ultimate respect to Bonas Nation, or whatever people are calling themselves now anymore. But I used to say, I don't know if they're 6-12 or 12-6, or there's 15-3. These people bring it, and they love their game. And obviously with Mark Schmidt now, you're talking about the top of the Atlantic 10. So this is a joy for me. Thank you for having me.
So I have so many things I want to ask you, but I want to start with, I was there from 98 to 2002, and it was Jim Barron and a Timmy Wynn and Bremer and the matchups with you guys and O'Connor and, gosh, man, Jameer Nelson and all those great teams. When somebody says to you, Bonas, St. Joe's, the games, the Hawk, the Wolf, the battles, the crowds, the first thing that just jumps right away, when all those things are fluttering, what is it?
The games were played in 2 gyms, not arenas, not coliseums.
Right.
Right? The Reilly Center is a gym.
Yeah.
Memorial Fieldhouse was a gym. And when you looked out there and you had guys like Vanterpool and Tim Wynn and Bremer and our guys, you could see that same game probably in July if you were coming by campus and you were looking for a pickup. I always thought, and I could be wrong, I don't have great memory, but I always thought that the games were skilled. The score, I'm a big score guy, and I know all the cliches and the coaches that want to jump up and down and say defense wins championships and that kind of thing, but you have to score. And I always thought that when we played Bonaventure, scoring was at a premium. After you were gone, the game, oh God, I think it was in Buffalo. We had DeAndre Bembry, and they had, guy went for about 43. Bembry went for, the score was 99-96, but it was off campus.
Marcus Posley?
Marcus Posley. That was just, I was cool. And like people would look at me and go, yeah, like, are you all right? I'll be like, yeah, we scored 96, I don't like losing. But I just think the first thing that pops into my mind is those games were played in the gyms. And that was like the old East Coast basketball.
Yeah. Yeah. So Adrian Autry obviously has taken over at Syracuse, and Red and I are friends, and I had him on over the season. And, once in a blue, I'll pop him a text or whatever. But when he took over for Jim, and it's no disrespect to Jim, he and you are friends, and he's a Hall of Famer and a great guy and been amazing in the Central New York community where I reside right now as well. But Red wants to go. I mean, he gets the ball. He wants to go. He wants to mix the 2-3 with the up and down and this and that. And I think that's a good thing, because I think no matter what world you're in, whether it's years ago or today or somewhere in between, doesn't that attract the young kid, right? I mean, a forward that's maybe a hybrid in today's game where the center has disappeared, a point guard, a shooting guard, they want to catch and go. Phil, catch and go. You watch hockey, never been faster. Football, never been more offensive. College basketball, get it and go. That is attractive, correct?
There's no question that it's attractive. There's a couple of things in there. Like, I like the idea of mixing defense because you do have to, so many of these games, and you watch every game, I can tell, is it looks the same. Well, they're playing man to man and they're doing this and they're running pick and roll, and it's monotony at times. But when you're mixing in, oh, they're playing a 2-3. What was this? When did they show up to play the 2-3? What part of the game was it in? Is it after timeouts? I think there's more of that like chess match type of approach. I also believe that offensively, these kids are working on their skills. Every kid that you talk to, whether they're being recruited by Syracuse or Bonaventure, they'll say to you, I was working out with my guy. Well, I would prefer, to be honest with you, that they were playing 5-on-5 and learning how to play the game. But they all have these skills, and they're emulating the best players in the world. And you and I both know that years and years and years ago, and Boeheim is a dear friend, but if Joel Embiid showed up on Syracuse campus, he would have stood in the lane, put his hands in the air, and played the middle of the 2-3 zone. And then he would have run down the other end of the floor. But seriously, the guy in Philadelphia now comes down the floor, puts it through his legs, and will raise up from a 3 comfortably. He's what these young players are doing. The other part of this is that despite the fact that the coaches are in the gyms in June and July with their players, practice actually started yesterday, right? So practice started on September the 21st or 22nd. And we're now playing exhibition games that people know are going to be counted as real games in the minds of the fan. And those games are coming up within a 4-week period. So we're much closer to an NBA preseason. So you can't be real complicated. And if that's not a word, but if you're uncomplicating things by saying we're going to sprint on every miss, they'll work harder on defense because they want to get a miss and they want to get out and run. So you are right on about today's game needs to be played with space and pace.
Told you 12 to 15 minutes, but I might need a couple more. This is already amazing. Phil Martelli, the coaching great with us, of course, and St. Joe's, where you made a mark and had all those unbelievable teams. And it's considered mid-major basketball, but you just noted, I mean, there's a preseason schedule now that's like the NBA. We have the portal. We have NIL. We have the game has changed so much. We have geographic importance is kind of out the window. Football, basketball, it's almost 2.0 pro sports. Give me, if you started coaching today, instead of yesteryear, you started this second, how would you approach this?
Well, I would start with the reality that transfer portal is part of this, right?
Yeah.
But I would then study. If I was a young coach, I would study. Well, why is Marquette immune to it? There's something they're doing on a daily basis, Shaka Smart's doing on a daily basis, where he hasn't had a transfer. Now, he hasn't taken them in either, but he hasn't had anybody go out. So what is that formula? Now, he might say it's the secret sauce. I'm not going to share it, but I would study it from afar. So the transfer portal's real. Building a program over a team would not change the way I would say it. I would want to go into that job. If you say to me, come up here and you're going to coach Bonaventure for this year, then I would say I'm still going to build a program. I'm going to still build a program built on respect. I'm going to build it on communication. I'm going to build it on daily improvement. And then the overriding theme, because you have to factor in NIL, is this. Mike, I want you to trust me. So I'm going to ask you a question. I'm recruiting you. I'm going to recruit you heavily. I'm going to give you all the attention, but I'm going to recruit you the way I'm going to coach you. And that's going to be built on trust. So I'm going to ask you a question. Would you like to pursue your college degree?
Yes.
Would you like to improve as a player?
Absolutely.
Would you like to be surrounded by like-minded players?
Yes.
Would you like to pursue a championship?
It's all that matters. Winning matters.
Multiple championships.
Yeah, multiple. Absolutely.
Yeah, multiple championships.
Yeah.
Okay. So I trust that all those answers are true. They're true from your family. They're true from your mentor. They're true from your summer coach, your winter coach. I believe all that. So now this is where you have to trust me. If I can get you $5, I'm going to get you $5. I'm not going to get you $4.90. And I'm not going to change it to $4 if you scored 8 points instead of 10 points. So if you trust me on that, I'm going to get you everything that look, you're representing your family, you're representing me, you're representing this school. I want you to be taken care of. I want you to want for nothing. All right. So that's my trust to you. You trust me. Do you have any questions? If, Mike, you come back to me and say, yeah, but I have to make $20,000, I'll say to you, good luck. Just keep my number. I want to stay in touch. I want to help where I can. And I'm going to go recruit Jim because you're the 90th ranked player in the country and he's the 130th ranked player in the country. They don't really know. There's no difference between that. There's only difference in the top 30 kids because those kids could leave after a year, right? They could go to the league. 90 to 130, 100 to 215.
You can close the gap, make them a program guy.
Yes. Yes. Can you trust me?
Gotcha.
And if at any point in time, because of that communication being a key foundation, if at any point in time I've broken that trust, come in, open door, and let's find a better place for you. Not run you off, but I want to help you because somewhere along the line, it's going to come back. I'm just starting my career. It's going to come back that I treat people the right way. I think we have to stop after the top 5 leagues. I think we have to stop all this. Like I have to get this much NIL money. No, you got to get the right guys who have the right priorities. If money is their priority and you know who you are, even with Woj going to Bonaventure has to know who they are.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And my other comment on this would be, in the world that we're in, and you're being recruited by Bonaventure and Syracuse and Niagara, I would guess Bonaventure has more than Niagara, but Syracuse has more than Bonaventure. So if your thing is money, go to the highest bidder and we'll build a program.
Yeah. You know, what you said is so true about, know who you are, still be who you are. Because I remember doing a bunch of videos during when the NIL portal, like officially said, okay, we're here, we've arrived. And it just mushroomed. And I kept trying to tell all the alums for us, as you know, we're kind of psychotic about the basketball program. And I told everyone, they're like, we're going to lose this kid. We're going to lose that kid. We're going to, and I said, everybody take a timeout. And this was when the Ironman 2.0 graduate, left for greener pastures. You had Oshun leave. You had everybody leave, right? That was the Don Welch group and Kyle Lofton to Florida. And I said, look, guys, and I think, Welch went to Alabama maybe. And I said, look, you got to calm down. Holmes and Oshun both went to Iowa State. I said, because for who leaves the program, you're probably going to get a couple of kids into the program. It's a trade because Mark and his staff, they know what they're doing, and they're going to bring people in to be Bonnies. And even though there's NIL and portal and all these different things, you still have to recruit Bonaventure. You're still Bona, your model, what you want, who comes to that school, the program. Same with St. Joe's, same with this club, that club, which brings me to this wild world of football, and money. We're in this place where Rutgers is in the Big Ten now, and we have all these different conference expansions and this and that. And yet the Big East is over here, and all those schools say, we're cool, we're good, we're the Big East, we have basketball programs, we're centered on that. They don't have football. They don't worry about all that. Bonaventure is 2,500. You know what? Their football program has been undefeated since the late 50s, right, Phil? So all these basketball-only schools, they are who they are. And that brings me to a feeling that, look, I'm a huge football fan. I love the NFL. I love college football. I cover Syracuse and have for a long time. And my wall over here is all Buffalo Bills football. Great win last night. I will say, okay, it's cool. I understand Saturdays. Michigan USC was great over the weekend. I understand Power 5. I love watching college football. The playoff expanding. It's huge, the ratings. But you know what? When I think about my alma mater, I love the fact that we're Bana, it's basketball, and I know who we are. Is that okay to have that thought? Like,
absolutely, absolutely, positively. And to have passion for your school, love of school. People in Philadelphia will say to me, Fran Dunphy, like, what is he? He's a Big Five Hall of Famer. I said, yeah, his school called. He loves his school.
Yeah.
He loves what they did for him, and he goes back. Now, you and me talking, Fran Dunphy called me on his way to his first team meeting at LaSalle and said, what don't I know? I've been out for a year. Tell me about the portal. I said, the portal works both ways, and you have to think of it that way. You make a great point. Yeah, those guys were terrific Bonas players. But at the end of the day, they left. So there's a certain point to, like, what about your legacy? What about where are you going to go back when all else fails? You're going to go back to the place that loved you the most. And so Dump said, transfer. I said, it works both ways.
Yeah.
NIL, I said, stop. Because you could go through every possible scenario in your mind. LaSalle is never going to have as much money as Villanova. And Villanova is never going to have as much money as Maryland. And so I got to fill you in on this, though. Right? So let's say that one of the guys who will be in the running for National Player of the Year is Hunter Dickinson at Kansas.
Yep.
Hunter Dickinson is a bigger Buffalo Bills fan than you. Check it out.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Does Hunter Dickinson?
Well, let's say that he's been jumping on tables. I thought it was because of the Bills. Maybe it was because he was a college kid, but
there you go, Hunter Dickinson. Bring it, buddy. All right. And that wall's not even finished, by the way. Although I'm not as emotionally invested this year because I just, the heartbreak but they look pretty good so far. But you know what? I'm gonna get a hold of. You think he'd come on the show with me?
Without a question.
All right. Okay. I'll get him on.
He's a lunatic. He is, and he's very, very, very funny. He's a funny dude.
Does he have the little people though? Does he have like the Josh Allen little people?
He might, or his family does.
I know NIL money can buy that. I'll tell you that.
So my thought is, I think being passionate about your school, we can't ever lose that. And I don't think eventually this will become a club system where there's pay for play in football and in basketball, probably women's basketball too. But once we lose the idea, that love of school,
right,
and not necessarily for the player, right? I understand that, but for that fan, when the fan looks out there and says, "I don't know who that is," I went into the Reilly Center and they were playing pickup and I didn't know who they were. That to me is one of the heartaches that's going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, my big thing with what I was commenting on was the football part. It's like I said, I love the football, but after a while it's exhausting, and it's the conference expansion is exhausting, and it's keep chasing this and chasing the dollar and chasing the next, where are they going to go? And now it's USC, Washington, and Oregon, and everybody goes to the Big Ten, and then who's going here? And is the Pac-12 dead? And is the Big 12 this? And who's on whatever roster? And I'm like, I'm a Bonaventure alum, and I know exactly who my school is. Yeah, we have NIL and we have portal, but I know who we are. We have a basketball program that leads the way, and we're not chasing anything. If anything, we're trying to be in the A-10, chase dreams there, and makeshift rosters okay, but everybody's doing that. And knowing, I guess, who you are and not sometimes always having to go get the gold nugget, I don't think that's necessarily a terrible thing. I think right?
And I was never a college football guy. Like in Philadelphia.
Oh, it's huge hoops.
It's hoops. Some people will say, well, Penn State, because they went there or their family went there. And then there's another faction of Notre Dame.
Right.
But there's not like Saturday afternoon watch parties.
Right.
This is one man speaking.
Yeah.
Who I would watch? I would watch Alabama just like I would watch Tiger when he was in his heyday.
Sure.
And while I watch UConn women. Now, UConn women is a personal thing because 50 years ago, Gino Auriemma was the JV coach when I was the head varsity coach. We were on the same staff together. So I watch UConn women.
Right.
And I would say, yeah, this is fascinating. Like,
yeah,
they've won 100 in a row, or they've won 11 or 15 or 18. And I would watch them. I watch Alabama because I think, well, that's the best there is. And why are they different? When I went to Michigan and they would say, all right, we're going to go to the game. The first game I went to, I was involved in the pageantry and I loved everything about it. But it's just not a game that drives me. So I'd be like, all right, what do you do now? Like, what happens on Monday? Like, I'm used to action in basketball, and I'm nuts about the Philadelphia Phillies. All right, we have a game today. Like, what is it today? So I really do. I think that at some point in time, if the Peach Bowl still exists, the Peach Bowl, if it was Rutgers UCLA, that would seem to be a really big deal because it was two coasts and the different stuff. They're going to play on a Saturday in October. Like, I don't know. Yeah,
I know. I was looking at Oklahoma, Tennessee over the weekend. I was at a golf tournament, and I was about to tell the group, I was like, oh, isn't it crazy? No, dude, it's not a non-con. It's a conference game now. You have to kind of stop and think, even like covering the game. I breathe, live, read. This is all I do. I mean, sports media, it's like professionally, I mean, it's around the clock. I mean, you have to know as much as possible. You're reading, you're this, you're that. And I still get tripped up by it. And that's what I tell people, like fans and buddies of mine, where they're like, hey, what do you think of the Bonas roster? I'm like, dude, I need time. And this is August. I'm like, I need time. I need more time. I can give you but I need to read more about where they came from, positions, changes, coaches. It takes time. And you're doing this in football, in basketball, then you're covering the pros, and your head is a little chock full of information. When did you first fall in love with basketball? And by the way, if the Phillies and Yankees are in the World Series, you're taking me, right?
Oh, yes. Here's what I described.
Okay.
I was a playground rat. I lived in Southwest Philadelphia. I was a playground rat.
Okay.
Spring, you played baseball. Fall, you played football. You went to the playground every single day. You just figured out something to do. You played occasional basketball. If you got into a gym, you were like beyond belief that you could get into a gym. And then I moved to the suburbs, and I met 3 guys who coached me in CYO. And I was in the 7th, 8th grade. We had really good teams, but we had we had real coaching, real practices. And I looked around and I said, this is it. This is what I want to do. This game does not discriminate. Doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, black or white. It doesn't matter if you're in Olean or Philadelphia. If you can dribble, pass, and shoot, and you're willing to compete, you can play it. You can find a game.
Yeah.
And so that from that point forward, I always wanted to go back and understand coaching and whether I could teach it. So by the time I was in college playing Division III basketball, I knew that I wanted to be a high school teacher in history, and I wanted to coach basketball. So I would say to you, it caught me in 7th grade. The game itself caught me in 7th grade. The idea of coaching caught me probably when I was a freshman in college. And I would lay out a plan and follow that plan. And, some would even say that I married because my wife won 3 national championships when she was in college. Wow. At Immaculata. Her teams are in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Some would say I married because of the game. But don't let her hear that.
Yeah. I've held you way over. I had a couple of quickies, if you don't mind.
Go ahead. You know what? We do have to have this in there, though.
What?
I have to check the date exactly. I believe Sunday, November 24th, there will be a Phil Martelli coaching in the Reilly Center for all those old fans out there.
Oh, wow.
My son coaches Bryant,
Oh, wow.
Bryant plays Bonas on November 24th.
Incredible.
Yep.
I love it. Bryant also just had Charles Pride, right, before
Yep.
he transferred into Bonas. And I covered Charles's career at CBA in Liverpool here in Section 3. That is incredible. I mean, you're going to that, right?
So far, we're going, yes.
Okay. All right. That's great. Wow. That'll give you that. You're going to have the hair standing up on the back of your neck for that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I have a lot of hair to stand up, but
hey, don't worry. I'm getting close to you up here, man. I wear a hat every day. Don't worry. We'll be brothers pretty soon in that department.
Woj hit me with that the other day. Just said, you are coming. And I said to my wife, this might be a one we can't miss.
Yeah, no doubt. I have a request to get Woj on, actually. I've never met Woj, but he helped me out with a media thing about 10 years ago. And then
what a guy.
I mean, he's a class act.
And he loves his school.
He really does. Yeah, you want to talk about that passion you were bringing up earlier. Yeah. Holy moly. By the way, Posley, March 2nd, 2016, 47 points.
Wow.
Yeah. Torched it. Yeah, he was burning the nets in Western New York. St. Joe's, head coach Phil Martelli, that era, couple of St. Joe's alums or students, they're hanging out at the bar, having a beer, chatting about old times, St. Joe's hoops. And your name comes up. What do you want them to say about you? Diehard Hawk fans, what do you want them to say about you as head coach of that program?
That I made it about others, whether about charities, whether it was about the fans, the alums, that I was accessible. I would much prefer to be thought of as a good guy than a good coach. That's what I want.
Great answer. What do you think that, that little boy would say about your career now, right? I mean, that path and the dreams and falling in love with the game and everything you've seen, home and away, St. Joe's, and who you coached against and who your coach, I mean, the fraternity of guys, the fraternity of coaches and players and everything and your timeline. And when you look back at everything and, 440 plus wins and the success, I mean, come on, NCAA tournament, biggest stages, great players, pros, getting men into leaders on and off the court. What would that person say? What would that little boy say? Pretty good, right?
Pinch me. But there's also another part to it.
Okay.
There's another part. That little boy would say, don't forget me. Meaning that there's another little kid. And I always thought this. There's another little kid behind me who was watching and who wanted, and I don't mean this egotistically, but that kid would be sitting in the pleasure saying, you know what, one day I'm going to be Phil Martelli.
Yeah.
That never left me. It never leaves me to this day. When I'm out and about, if you can touch a person and you can create for them some memories and relationships, and they understand that that's what's important, not nets and wins and championships, but memories and relationships, that young person would say, don't forget me. I'm back here. I'm watching.
This was amazing. Stanley Law Offices and Welch & Company Jewelers bringing it to you. College basketball coaching grade Phil Martelli, one of my favorites. So many memories at St. Bonaventure and the games in the Reilly Center, included St. Joseph's coming into the building and that Hawk that kept going and going and going. Phil, what a treasure you are. What a pleasure to have you on. I held you about 15 minutes longer. But hopefully we can see each other in person this season or whenever. If you're in Central New York, lunch is on me at the Allen Angus Pub. And I know you have a close relationship with Coach Boeheim. So if you're ever here or if you're at Mark's tournament, I still have to go to Mark's tournament in Olean still at Bartlett. But
yes,
this was incredible. I really appreciate it. We connected on social media and you got right back to me. And it means a lot to people like me, for you to respond that way and come on. So thank you a million.
Please stay connected. And I appreciate all you're doing.